In the 1970s, childhood was defined by vast stretches of unstructured time. Kids rode bikes, played hopscotch until the streetlights came on, and navigated their neighborhoods with minimal adult supervision. Today, that reality has been replaced by a rigorous daily marathon. Parents meticulously manage travel teams, SAT prep, specialized tutoring, and service trips, operating more like project managers than traditional caretakers. Sociologists often characterize this shift as a byproduct of cultural neurosis or generational anxiety. However, research from economists Matthias Doepke and Fabrizio Zilibotti provides a different explanation. By examining global parenting data through the lens of macroeconomics, they found that parents are responding to specific market signals. Economics views parents as agents optimizing their children's future utility under specific constraints. This research identifies a core equation dictating modern child-rearing. Parenting style is a direct function of the education premium, income inequality, and specific cultural modifiers. Understanding parenting through this rigorous economic lens shifts the focus from individual psychological flaws to systemic macroeconomic incentives. We start with Diana Baumrein's taxonomy of parenting styles, measuring behavior along two axes: demandingness and responsiveness. Authoritarian parents set strict limits, while permissive parents offer high responsiveness. The authoritative quadrant requires high levels of both, a massive investment of time. Authoritarian and authoritative approaches are both considered intensive styles, requiring a heavy allocation of a parent's resources. These intensive styles became the logical choice following the transition to a knowledge-based economy in the late 20th century. This graph shows the explosion of the education premium. By 2009, workers with postgraduate degrees earned a third more than college graduates. This mirrors widening income inequality, as the top and bottom 10% income ratio increased by nearly 100%. Bureau of Labor Statistics data confirms that parents responded directly to this rising labor market premium. By 2005, American parents were spending an average of an hour and 45 minutes more per day with their kids than they had in the 1970s. As the financial stakes of economic survival became tied to education, parents reallocated their scarce daily time into intensive child-rearing. The World Values Survey allows us to test this economic theory on a global scale. This scatterplot maps a nation's Gini coefficient against the percentage of parents prioritizing hard work. High inequality nations show the highest returns. 90% of Chinese parents value hard work. In low inequality Nordic nations, parents afford permissiveness, with 93% of Norwegian parents prioritizing independence. In low inequality countries like the Netherlands, 10-year-olds have no homework and teaching is horizontal, focusing on student interaction rather than rigid hierarchies. The question is whether this intensive parenting actually delivers an advantage in hyper-competitive markets. Efficacy can be measured through PISA educational data, particularly in high-intensity markets like South Korea. Data shows highly educated parents add only 7 points to a South Korean child's PISA math score. However, an intensive parenting style adds over 20 points, regardless of the parent's own education level. Helicopter parenting functions as a tool for academic survival, providing a measurable edge in societies with high income inequality. While economics sets the baseline, cultural axioms act as vital modifiers. American individualism drives a focus on self-esteem and the pursuit of individual passion. This contrasts with the Swedish concept of janteloven, or law of Jante. Janteloven discourages treating any individual as special or superior, which aligns with the nation's low inequality economic policies. Intensive parenting also manifests in how families transfer behavioral human capital, as seen in the case of author Matt Bell. Bell inherited $60,000 in his 20s, but lacking financial socialization, he accrued $20,000 in credit card debt within just 2 years. Modern parents now utilize external advisors and structured programs to deliberately train their children in capital management to mitigate these risks. This holistic approach to parenting works to transfer the specific behavioral human capital required to maintain class status in an unequal society. When these individual choices aggregate, they lead to a systemic failure called the parenting trap. This divergence shows high-income families accelerating through substantial time investment, while low-income families hit a structural wall of time poverty. Because intensive parenting is now the required mechanism for academic success, children from low-income families are effectively locked out of upward mobility. Joshua Kim's research explores the consequences for nations where the economic cost of this arms race becomes unsustainable. In Denmark, generous parental leave and subsidized childcare buffer this economic pressure, maintaining a stable fertility rate. South Korea, however, represents the absolute peak of the educational arms race, where parents pour significant portions of their income into private education. The South Korean fertility rate has dropped to 0.98. In a nation of 51 million, only 327,000 babies were born last year. The economic cost of preparing a child to compete has surpassed the utility of having children, leading to demographic convergence. Parents cannot be expected to unilaterally disarm when the market requires perfection for survival. To reverse demographic collapse, policymakers must alter the macroeconomic environment through structural changes. Rational parents will always prioritize the skills the economy demands.